In a remote village on the outskirts of Upper Egypt called Al-Kharaba, the air always felt heavy. A thin mist cloaked the mud houses, and the wind howled like a voice in pain in the middle of the night. The people there lived cautiously. No one left their homes after Maghrib prayer, not just because of the cold or fear of thieves, but because of whispered tales told in hushed voices at night, tales of those who appear after dark. Hassan Abdel Maqsood, a man in his late 40s, lived alone in an old house he inherited from his father. The house stood on the edge of the village, next to ancient graves that no one visited except on special occasions. Hassan was known for being fearless. If strange noises were heard or something odd happened in a deserted area, people called him. But 5 years ago, after his wife Noura died in a mysterious accident, Hassan changed. He became quieter. His eyes filled with both sorrow and something darker, fear. One moonless night, around 11:30 p.m., Hassan was sitting in the living room, sipping tea, staring into nothingness. The night was still, except for the wind rattling the old wooden windows. Suddenly, he heard a soft knock at the door. Tuck, 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 like a small hand knocking gently. He frowned. Who could be here at this hour? "Who is it?" he called out. No reply. The knocking continued, a bit louder this time. Then came the voice of a child from outside. "Uncle Hassan, please open the door. I'm scared." Hassan's heart began to pound. He didn't know why. The voice was soft, but had an eerie echo to it, as if the wind itself were speaking. He got up, grabbed the broom he kept near the door, his usual defense when something felt wrong, and opened the door cautiously. What he saw froze his blood. A child, no more than 7 years old, stood there in a pristine white galabeya, like it had just been ironed. His face resembled a doll, large, lifeless black eyes, and a wide smile that felt unnatural. "Uncle, can I come in? I'm lost," the child said. Hassan stared at him, his heart racing. Something didn't feel right. "Who are you, and how do you know my name?" he asked, trying to sound stern. The child smiled wider. "I know everything about you, Uncle Hassan." Though filled with unease, Hassan allowed the child inside. The boy sat on the old wooden chair in the living room, his eyes scanning the house like he was looking for something. Hassan tried to remain calm and sat across from him. "Where are you from, boy? Where is your family?" he asked cautiously. The boy answered in a soft voice, yet there was something cold in it. "My family isn't here. I came for you." A chill ran down Hassan's spine. "What do you mean, for me? What are you talking about?" The boy didn't reply, just smiled even wider. Suddenly, Hassan heard faint whispers all around the house, not clear words, but a mix of soft murmurs, as if the walls themselves were whispering. He looked around. The ceiling light began to flicker, dimming and flaring like a dying flame. Trying to ignore the dread crawling over him, Hassan decided to take the child to Sheikh Osman, the village's elder. As they stepped out, something stopped him cold. The child had no shadow. The street lamp cast Hassan's shadow clearly on the ground, but behind the boy, nothing. "It's just in your head," Hassan told himself. As they walked through the quiet, foggy streets, the only sounds were their footsteps and another faint set behind them, like someone or something was following them. Every time Hassan turned, no one was there. The boy just kept smiling, his eyes glowing faintly under the pale light of the hidden moon. At Sheikh Osman's house, Hassan recounted everything while the boy sat silently beside him, his eyes darting around the room. The sheikh, a wise old man with eyes full of both knowledge and fear, stared at the child, and his expression changed. "That's not a child, Hassan," he said calmly, but his voice trembled. "What do you mean, something else? He's just a kid. I'm looking at him right now." The sheikh shook his head. "What you see isn't what you think. Listen to me, Hassan. This village holds ancient secrets, things people have forgotten, but that haven't forgotten us." The sheikh approached the child and began reciting verses from the Quran. Suddenly, the child laughed, a loud metallic laugh like the sound of shattering steel. The house began to shake, the lights flickered violently, windows rattled as if a quake had struck. The sheikh shouted, "Get back, Hassan, that's not human." The child stood, and in an instant his form began to shift. His white garment turned into a tattered rag, his face stretched unnaturally. No longer a child, his black eyes expanded, and his smile widened into a gaping mouth filled with sharp teeth. "You started this. You summoned me." Hassan's knees buckled. "What do you mean, summoned? We didn't do anything." The entity, no longer a child, stared at him with a gaze that chilled his soul. "5 years ago, Hassan, when your wife died, did you forget what you did?" The memory hit like a wave. 5 years ago, Noura, pregnant in her 9th month, died in a car crash on a desert road. People called it an accident, but Hassan always felt something was wrong. He remembered the fear in her eyes that night, like she saw something no one else could. As the sheikh continued reading, the entity twisted unnaturally. Then Hassan saw a shadow in the corner. It was Noura. She wore the same white dress she once loved, but her face was pale, her eyes brimming with dark tears. "Hassan, you brought him," she said in her voice, but with a haunting echo. "I didn't know, I didn't mean to," Hassan screamed. But the truth unraveled in his mind. After Noura's death, he was broken. He visited an old woman in the village, known for knowing secrets. She told him there was a ritual that could help him see Noura again. In his desperation, he followed her instructions, slaughtered a black rooster, drew a blood circle in the graveyard, and chanted ancient words she taught him. He never knew the ritual would open a door to something that had been waiting. The entity's voice howled like the wind. You opened the gate, Hassan, and that gate does not close. Nora's image vanished, and the creature returned to the form of the child, but now its eyes burned red. Now you belong to me. The sheikh, trembling, stood with his cane. You won't touch him, he yelled, spraying holy water across the floor. The entity laughed, shattering the windows with its cry. You think that will stop me? Suddenly, the house began to collapse. The ceiling groaned, walls cracked. Hassan ran for the door, but the child appeared before him in a blink, flying like a shadow. You can't escape, it growled, its small hand now a claw. In desperation, Hassan stabbed the creature with a knife, but the blade passed through it like air. You're not fighting a child, Hassan, it said coldly. The sheikh, in a final act, threw the Quran at it. The entity shrieked, a scream like 1,000 souls in agony. The house went dark, and the outside fog rushed in. Hassan and Sheikh Othman escaped, but the creature followed. They ran through the fog-covered streets. Behind them, faint laughter, the sound of tiny footsteps. Each time they looked back, the child stood there, smiling. But this time, he wasn't alone. Other children had joined him, all dressed in white, all with those same black, lifeless eyes. "What do we do now?" Hassan gasped. "The gate must be sealed. We have to find where you opened it." Hassan remembered the graveyard. They ran there, the ghostly children following. At the graves, the old blood circle was still there after all those years. The sheikh began reciting louder, and Hassan, desperate, began rubbing out the circle with his foot. But suddenly, the creature grabbed his hand. Its touch burned like fire. In Nora's voice it said, "You opened the gate, Hassan. Now we are a part of you." A sudden gust blew. The fog vanished. The children disappeared. The gate closed. Hassan collapsed, shaking. The sheikh looked down at him. "You think it's over? That gate can open again." The next day, Hassan and the sheikh told the villagers what happened. No one believed them. They were called mad. Life in the village returned to normal. But Hassan knew the story wasn't over. Every night, he heard that same soft knock on the door. "Uncle Hassan, open the door." One day, Hassan vanished. They said he traveled, but those who visited his house saw shattered windows and tiny footprints on the ground. And whenever the fog returned, people claimed to hear children laughing in the distance and Nora's voice whispering, "You're the ones who started it."